and welcome to this week's edition of It's Your Call, brought to you by Quit Now. This is where we have a look at some of the umpiring decisions from the previous round. Round 7 is the focus this weekend, and of course, as he does every Tuesday afternoon, joining me, the boss of the umpiring department, Jeff Gieshen. Welcome, Gieshen.
Good to be here again, Wayne.
Great to have you along, and more importantly, to our viewers right around the country, if you pick out a decision from a previous round, you'd like us to have a look at it, you send it through to @AFL, #YourCall, and Gieshen and I will pick out the best couple from that previous round and work our way through that. Okay, let's jump straight into it. It concerns the Kangaroos, and just before we do, it was the issue of the week, sliding in the tackle. We seem to have we had a reinforcement from the AFL during the course of the week. Before we have a look at the first decision, how did you see the round play out?
Well, we thought from our perspective, we certainly saw the players adapt very, very well. So full credit to the coaches and the players for accepting what the AFL wanted to happen. We didn't see anywhere near the amount of slides. We were really pleased that the umpires processed it well. We only saw one free kick awarded for it. And I think what we saw, Wayne, was a much safer environment for the players keeping their feet, and overall possibly a better spectacle, but certainly a safer environment.
All right, well, you mentioned we only had one free kick for sliding into the contest. It was involving Jack Siebel against the Bulldogs on Sunday.
Yes, and we can see the bit of play roll here. Young Wallace over the ball, takes possession of the ball, and then we see Jack Siebel come in a little bit late, coming in knees first, makes contact with Wallace in the torso midsection area, and a warranted free kick for sliding in knees first. And that's the whole crux behind this. It's about knees first or feet first, and we can see the knees come in now and take Wallace, and a free kick was awarded.
I think when you have a look at it in slow-mo, you see the potential for real injury there. Mitch Wallace is lucky he didn't break a leg. Just want to quickly get a bit more clarification from you before we move on to the next decision. What constitutes a reportable incident if that's actually just paid as a free kick?
Yeah, well, I suppose in that one there, he wasn't late by a large amount. He was marginally late, but also the amount of force involved in the contest. Now, in that one there, had he been a little bit later and had he been a little bit more reckless with more force and more power through the knees coming in and making contact, that could have been a reportable offence. But in that, not as much contact, and didn't do the damage that we've seen some of them potentially can cause.
So overall, a big tick for players adapting to the reinforcement of the rule last weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, next decision we'll have a look at. There seems to be some confusion within the footballing community, both on-field and off-field, with regards, is it 15 paces you can run, or is it actually 15 metres? Let's have a look at Andrew Walker in the big game last night against the Saints.
Out of the middle, Walker. He's got weight on the lead. It's a difficult left foot kick, but it's made. He said he's ran too far.
Andrew ran from the centre to outside the square. Got to be more than 15.
Yeah, and look, we can see there some diagrams. The rule book actually states that a player, once they take possession, must bounce it or touch the ball on the ground every 15 metres. And we can see Andrew take the ball here. He starts near the centre circle. He runs from there outside the centre square and continues to run on some maybe 10 or 12 metres after that as well. So when we look at it, he's probably covered something like 20, 22 or 3 metres.
So this is where some of the confusion comes, because we're counting the steps there, and he ends up with 15.
Yeah.
The rule is it's 15 metres, not how many steps you take to cover the 15 metres.
Correct. The rule book says 15 metres. He must touch it on the ground or bounce it, and on this occasion he's failed to do so. And we don't see it very often. The umpires will often give the player a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but when they've run that far, they're obliged to pay.
This is the best camera angle that really illustrates just how far Andrew Walker actually did cover.
Yes, so he's probably looking at that. It's certainly a cricket pitch distance, so the umpire's right on the ball there, and a good free kick.
OK, let's go to the Tigers' big win against the Swans on the weekend. There was a mark. Jack Riewoldt was paid, and you're of the view that perhaps it shouldn't have been paid.
Yeah, we had a couple of situations in this game. First one, Jack Riewoldt flies for the ball. The rule book says you must catch or control the ball. Now, in this case, he's done neither. He hasn't caught it, and he certainly hasn't controlled the ball. We can see the ball alive and moving. So we should have called play on in that situation. Unfortunately, the umpire paid a mark. So Ted Richards was really unlucky in that situation.
Yeah, he was, and so was Brett Deledio. This is the first of our Twitter explanations, and this has come from Paul. This caught the eye of most pundits.
Yeah, Paula, spot on here. We see Deledio fly, and the definition before, catch or control, we can clearly see from the slow motion replay here, certainly controls the ball, catches the ball. Mark should have stood to Brett Deledio.
And fortunately for the Tigers, no damage was done. The next decision will go back to the Western Bulldogs taking on the Kangaroos. And it is something with the ruckman at the Kangaroos. We had Hamish McIntosh a few weeks ago. This time we've got Todd Goldstein.
Yes, we see Todd mark the ball, elects to play on. We can actually see that he's taken the mark probably 5, 6, 7 metres out from the top of the goal square. He marks it, decides to keep going, takes 4 full steps, elects to kick. Unfortunately, he doesn't dispose of the ball correctly when he's tackled with a prior opportunity. So we can see 1 big step, 2, 3, 4, then he's tackled, then he must kick it or handball. He did neither. So he's penalised for prior opportunity and not disposing the ball correctly.
So it's not holding the ball, it's either prior opportunity or incorrect disposal.
Yeah, well, in that case, had he had the ball, it would certainly be holding the ball. But in this case, he didn't dispose of the ball correctly. It just dropped to the ground when he elected to kick, not getting his boot to it.
And that one came from Bree. Great to have so many of our female supporters, both young and old, contributing to the show. Well done, Bree. Glad that you sent that through. At AFL, your call is the hashtag if you'd like to pick out a decision that Gieshen and I will have a look at. Final one we'll look at. It concerns Andrew Rains trying to do the job on Dane Swan and the protected area behind the player who's either got a free kick or a mark.
Yeah, this is topical. We only spoke about this last week. We can see Rains start behind Wood or across the other side of Wood. He must be 5 metres away. If he's going to stand there, he's got to be outside the 5 metre protected area. We can see the umpire waving him back. And in essence, as soon as Rains moved in there, the umpire should have played a 50 metre penalty immediately. From there, we can see Wood go to give the ball off. Rains runs around the back, enters the 5 metre protected area.
And here's another example of a similar incident, but no 50 paid.
Correct. And the reason here is what we discussed last week. An opponent can follow an opponent through. So we see the Port Adelaide player follow his Richmond opponent through within 5 metres, and that's permissible in that situation.
Well, we're almost done for this week. 7 rounds down. How have you seen the performances of the umpires, Gieshen?
We think they've done a good job, Wayne. The last 3 weeks has been some topical issues. We've had the tagging situation, we've had ducking the head, and we've had high contact. Last week, obviously, sliding. The thing that we're really pleased about is our umpires don't jump at shadows. They've been very composed. We haven't overreacted. And I think things have just played their way out. So we've been really pleased with that, and we hope it can continue. You've
had a look at your crystal ball this week. What's the issue that will confront your men this weekend, do you think?
Well, I think those couple of things I spoke about, tagging, head ducking, those sorts of things are always on the agenda. But I think the sliding is one that we need to keep watching. I think last week we had perfect conditions, all dry games. If we get wet weather, that's going to be a real challenge because in those conditions, players do have to go to ground on occasion. So we need to watch that very carefully.
Well, have a great weekend to your merry men. We thank you for coming in. Look forward to doing it again next week.
Thanks, Wayne.
And to you, thanks for joining us. And don't forget, you can pick out any decision you want discussed at AFL, hashtag your call, and we'll pick out 2 from Twitter every week. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, log on next week for a chance to win double passes to a game of your choice, thanks to our very good friends at Quit Now. Call the Quit line for support on 13 78 48. And remember, every cigarette you don't smoke is doing you good. We'll see you next week.